Nigeria's career and non-career ambassadors have an October 31 deadline to return to Abuja after they are recalled by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The country's permanent representatives to the United Nations in New York and Geneva are exempted from this recall due to their important roles in the upcoming United Nations General Assembly taking place this month. President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on media and publicity, Ajurin Gelali, explained that the action was taken by the president after a careful study of the present state of affairs at Nigerian consulate offices and embassies worldwide. Other reasons given for the recall include President Tinubu's determination to ensure that the country's affairs outside her shores are treated with world-class efficiency as well as quality. This is our focus on the program this evening. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am your carrier, Clinton. Joining me in the studio to discuss the recall of ambassadors is a regular face and a dependable friend of the house, Jide Ojo, an international affairs analyst. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
My pleasure.
Good to see you.
Same here.
Also joining us via Zoom is Ambassador Godwin Agama. He's a former Under Secretary for African Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He was also Nigeria's ambassador to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau and concurrently accredited to the Republic of Cape Verde. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'll start with you, Ambassador Godwin Agama. I know in international relations, recall means different thing to different people depending on their perspective. Now, what does this, in this case, in our own case, what does this imply? What does it mean?
Well, the recall of ambassadors who are the principal envoys of the president of the sending country is nothing spectacular. It's not a new thing. It's a routine thing that happens every election cycle of every 4 years. And that has been happening in Nigeria since independence, I believe. Once a president comes into power, and the ambassadors ought to have spent about 3, 4, 5 years, they are recalled. Ambassador going out carries a letter from the appointing president addressed to the president of the country to which he is accredited, or to the sovereign of the country to which he is accredited. And the letter is, the ambassador is supposed to be his personal representative in principle, but in reality, he represents the entire country, the government, before the receiving state. The receiving state is a country to which you are accredited, to which you are sent to. So as you introduced me as a former ambassador to Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Bissau was a receiving state, and Nigeria was a sending state. And an ambassador going abroad carries a letter from the president that sent him. When the new president comes to power, it's routine that he calls back those who have served 3, 4 years back to Nigeria and sends a new set of people to the countries to be accredited. So it's not a new thing, and it's a routine, as I said earlier.
Oh, okay, still on you, Ambassador Godwin. In this, what does it mean in relation to the diplomatic staff? I know these ambassadors, they have aides and other staff that work with them. Are they all coming, back with them, or how does it work?
Well, I think in your introductory, you mentioned the president's recall exempted the 2 ambassadors to the UN offices in New York headquarters and the one in Geneva. And that, of course, is because the General Assembly of the UN is coming up third week or third Tuesday of this month, sometime in September this month. Those ambassadors ought to be at post to conclude the meetings. And maybe they can return anytime the president deems fit for them to come back. Perhaps December, perhaps early in the new year. But 2 things we ought to know, take note of. In interstate relations, there are 2 institutions that are uniquely connected and have a long history going back to state formation, the military and the diplomatic service. Are you hearing me? Okay. I was saying that the military and the diplomatic service are two unique institutions in interstate relations, and they have rules that and precedents, rules, ethics, and all that guide them. This, in the case of diplomatic service, it began even before modern democracy. Ambassadors used to be the personal representatives of the monarchs in the court of another monarch, the kings in Europe before. It was when the monarchs now became a constitutional monarchs, from absolute monarch to constitutional monarchs, that, and then we have a representative democracies, that presidents begin to appoint ambassadors. In the past, the ambassadors were princes of the ruling family, maybe the cousin or the nephew or the son of the king, sent another court to represent him there.
Thank you very much. Now, Jide, you had the introduction there by Ambassador Godwin. However, the move has been met with a lot of mixed reaction. Some have praised the government for improving the diplomatic relations, while others have, said it's a sign of instability. So, how do you see this?
First and foremost, we need to understand that in diplomatic relations, nobody serves on a permanent basis as an ambassador or high commissioner of another country. However, there are bureaucracies that are permanent, sort of. Those who work with the ambassador or the high commissioner, those are not routinely changed. But the leadership, which is the ambassador of a country, gets changed and there are two categories. We need to also understand that there are two categories of ambassadors or high commissioners. There are the career and the non-career ambassadors. So the career ambassadors rise through the ranks and are deployed. I think the last check, Nigeria has about 110 missions abroad. Although the last administration seems to have cut down due to lack of funds, decided to merge some of them. And of course, you can also close down your embassy due to political reasons, like the face-off we are having with ECOWAS is having with Niger Republic now. Nigeria can recall its ambassador to Niger Republic, as the Niger Republic has even asked the French ambassador to leave the country within, I think, 48 hours, but the man has resisted. So a lot of face-off happened, but in this particular instance, it's as a result of change of leadership at the ends of affair in Nigeria. So I would have expected that the non-career, the career ambassadors be left in their post or move to another country, while the non-career ambassadors, those who are appointed on political consideration, then you can recall them. However, everything starts and ends at the discretion of Mr. President. That's why we say we have an executive president that is very powerful, that can dispense favor, because he is a favor. Some people are already high ambassadorial position for the incoming administration. So they are looking at, no, I want to be the ambassador to UK, ambassador to, and just like the National Assembly committees, there are juicy positions and there are non-juicy positions. I mean, I recall that even before the second letter that now says everyone should return, Ambassador, I think Sarafaddin, the Nigerian High Commissioner to UK, was the first to be recalled that his tenure has expired. And later, they now issued another circular to say all career and non-career ambassadors should return to Nigeria on or before October 31st, but exempting the Nigeria permanent delegate to the United Nations and then the Geneva. So all things said is a political appointment, and for political appointment you serve at the pleasure of the president. Even if you are a career ambassador, you are still at the pleasure. It's like a permanent secretary, in a ministry. So you can be removed, you can be redeployed at the at the whims and caprice of the government of the day. So this is why in my own thinking I would have expected that for those, because there was no discrimination as to whether you have spent 3 years or 4 years at your duty post. What it says is that all of you, with the exception of the one to Geneva and the one to the United Nations, should come back on or before October 31st. There should have been that explanatory as to whether those who have spent up to 4 years, like the Nigeria High Commissioner to UK, that was said to have spent the mandatory period he was supposed to serve. But the circular that was sent did not talk about whether you have spent 3 years or you have spent 4 years.
Okay, but Jide, before you go further, I want to ask, what impact can this kind of recall, have on the country's foreign relations? Does it have any impact?
No negative. I'm not saying any negative impact, because this is not as a result of face-off with another country. So it's not like Nigeria is having a spat with another country, then you are recalling, or that they were being recalled as a result of non-performance or for disciplinary actions. No, this recall was, like the ambassador said, was as a result of change of government, and it is at the pleasure of the president to change at any time he so wishes. In fact, we have seen ambassadors that serve only for 6 months, for 1 year, because if you are no longer in the good books of the appointee, you can be recalled, you can be dropped. So what I think may be the negative aspect is the instability for the family, because you cannot leave your family in US or in UK or in Russia or in Germany and come without them, because they are schooling there at the expense of the government of the day. So if you are recalled, that means the family also have to move. So what I have noticed with the families of many ambassadors, they rather will leave their spouses and their family in the country and then go, and maybe they can have the family visit, because situations where you think you are going to stay for a particular length of time in a post and you are recalled under 1 year or 2 years, it has deleterious effect on the family stability. But like I said, for the senior civil servants and those who are working in the embassies, who are not the ambassador designate or the high commissioner, this may not affect them. So they have a more relatively permanent stay wherever they are posted.
Okay, Jide, we'll stop here now and take a short break. It is still Nigeria Today. We'll be right back. The conversation will continue after this break. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around all crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the recall of our Nigerian ambassadors. My guests are still here with me, a gentleman via Zoom, and one here in the studio. Ambassador Godwin, according to the statement being issued, said the president, after a careful study of the state of affairs in the Nigerian consulate offices and embassies worldwide, decided to recall them, and of course is determined to ensure that we have a world-class efficiency and quality that will characterize the foreign and domestic service delivery to citizens, residents and prospective visitors alike. Now, you have been an ambassador. What are some of the challenges that you experience there that you think the present administration should look into if they are making new appointments? Should they make new appointments?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the recall is a routine matter. It has always happened after an election cycle is completed. So that is nothing new about it. And when these ambassadors at post were appointed, both career and non-career people, or those we call political people, were all appointed at the same time, appeared before the Senate, and were sent out with letters by the same month. So if they have done 3 years or more, or 3.5 years, or whatever number of months, and their record, well, as Dr. Jide says over there, it's at the pleasure of the president that they hold the appointment, and they can be recalled anytime. If you are an ambassador and you are recalled, not because of you've done anything wrong, and you are not declared persona non grata by your host, it's something to be happy about. There's nothing wrong with that. However, what I thought the public should be concerned about is the quality of the people that are going to be appointed to take over from those who are being recalled. Very often, party membership is given priority. Meanwhile, there is a large pool of people of good character, people of experience, whether top civil servants or people who have been trained in the diplomatic service, who don't need to learn the ropes again. They are in what you call the corps of reservists. We have so many of them in foreign affairs who have retired. They are not tired, they are not old. Some even retired before they were 60 because they have been so brilliant and they passed their exams and they became directors before they were up to 60. So, but if you spend 8 years as a director, you are retired. So some people retired maybe at 58 or 57. And in 10 years' time, they are still under 67. So they are still competent, but it takes a lot to train a diplomat. And it takes a lot of experience for a diplomat, for an ambassador to be effective. If you have read whatever you read in the university, and you have been in politics or in other professions, you are not the same person as the person who had entered the diplomatic service from level 8 and grew up there. So I think maybe the concern should be, who do we appoint to replace these people? Not that they are being recalled. Recalling them is not anything new. It's not bad. It doesn't tell anything bad about the people being recalled or about the government itself.
Okay, thank you very much. Jide, the president is determined to have efficient and quality service delivery. Now, what should this administration be looking at in the appointment? Like I know he's just reeled out some, for us to achieve this. What should they be looking at in the new appointees?
Well, I think first and foremost is the qualifications. Ambassadorial positions should not just be given to politicians who are just being compensated for electoral victory. And that's what we see more of. we see more of people, oh, we work for our party. You can see even the disputes that have ensued as a result of certain appointments the president has made in recent past, the latest being the NDDC board appointment, where particularly two states, Ondo and Cross River, say, oh, these persons did not work for our party. Why are you appointing him? They say, oh, one is even a member of PDP. Why should he come and eat? You know? So I think first and foremost is don't give this position prominently to politicians, maybe 20% to politicians, 80% to qualified, trained diplomats from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's number one. Number two challenge is funding. Our consulates and embassies are not being well funded, and that's why they have not performed optimally. Because it takes a lot of resources to fund embassies and consulates, and because of paucity of funds, many of these diplomats, some of them are not even paid as are when due. They are being owed a backlog of allowances and salaries, and of course the immediate past administration shut down a number of embassies as a result of insufficient funding. And these embassies are not meant to generate, they are not income generating centers, although they issue visas. Of course people pay visa fee, but how many people go to apply for visa to Ghana? All the West African sub-region are visa free, and of course even Kenya now, visa on arrival and stuff. So you can't even depend very much on issuance of visa fee. And then passports is not issued by the embassy, it's issued by the immigration, although they work hand in hand with the embassies and the consulates. So we need to look at structure of our embassies abroad. Do we have enough funding for them? If we don't, can we streamline them further and make them, one person can serve as ambassador to 2-3 countries, so it's nothing new. And you don't actually need to have embassies in all the 196 countries of the world because of the huge cost. So if you are not having, so you can have one person servicing a number of countries, particularly if there is no much volume of work, because these people that you send out, you are going to be paying them in foreign currencies.
But we don't have all the embassies in all the countries of the world.
No, I am saying we can streamline further.
Okay.
You are asking me about the challenges, and I'm saying, one, we should post out professionals, people who are well trained, and that if at all we want to mix them with non-career ambassadors, it should be like 20, maximum 30%, not 50-50, or even having more politicians as ambassadors. And I said in another breath that there should be proper funding of our missions abroad, the embassies, the consulates, because as it were, many of them are crying for funding, and since they are not generating funds in such quantum that they can rely on it to sustain themselves, they have to pay for services, electricity, water, security. They also have to be paid salaries and allowances. So issue of funding also comes to mind.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's where we draw the curtain for Nigeria today. But I must thank Ambassador Godwin Agama. He's a former Undersecretary for African Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He was also Nigeria's ambassador to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau and concurrently accredited to the Republic of Cape Verde. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you for having me.
Also, we say a very big thank you to Jide Ujo, an international affairs analyst. Thank you so much for availing us your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.
And to our viewer, thank you for always being a part of this. Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am Ikeria Clinton. Goodbye.